lovely math buddies, welcome back. Today we are going to be reviewing the 2D shapes along with starting to identify 3D shapes. So we're going to take a pause on finding area and perimeter, and we're going to kind of circle back and look back at our shapes, talk about them a little bit, and then introduce some new ones. Because as we move further along, these shapes are really going to start contributing to your learning, and well, let's get going. All right, so like I am writing right now, we know that a circle has 0 sides and 0 angles because they don't have, it is a whole rounded circle. There is no point, there is no side, there is no nothing. So let's go ahead and look at the triangle. Now the triangle, it has 3 sides, and I'll show you here by making some marks on the sides that there are 3 sides to a triangle. Like I said, guys, this is just a review. I know that you know the majority of this, but we are just going to keep reviewing and keep going. All right, so along with those 3 sides, we also have 3 angles for the triangle. And I will show you how we identify the angles. Here we go. It's just by creating a little semicircle next to the points, because that's how we know that that is an angle. Now, for mostly with 2D shapes, we mostly look at sides and angles. So let's go look at one of the better examples of sides and angles, which is the square. Now, a square has 4 equal sides. Not one is not longer than the other. They are always equal, always the same length. The square also has 4 angles. So here, 1, 2, 3, and 4 angles. Now we have the rectangle. Well, the rectangle also has 4 sides, but they don't have 4 equal sides like a square. The rectangle also has 4 angles. So it has 4 sides and 4 angles similar to a square, but it's not exactly the same. Then we have the rhombus. Now the rhombus is very similar to the square and the rectangle. It also has 4 sides. 2, 3, and 4. It also has 4 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have the trapezoid, which also has 4 sides and 4 angles. I'll go ahead and write it out and draw it out so we can visually see it. Now, the funny thing, I know that you can see it, that the square and the rectangle and the trapezoid and the rhombus all have very similar features. Well, these shapes are called quadrilaterals. Now, quadrilaterals, try saying that 15 times. Quadrilaterals all have 4 sides and 4 angles. Let's go ahead and start looking and introducing the 3D shapes. So for 3D shapes, we have a sphere, a cube, a rectangular prism, a cylinder, a cone, and a pyramid. Now, the difference between 3D shapes and 2D shapes, 3D shapes, there are 3 different ways that we look at it. There are 3 dimensions to the shape. In 2D shapes, there's only 2 ways to look at a shape. So there's only 2 ways, such as we only looked at the sides and the angles. Well, now with 3D shapes, we look at 3 different things called the faces, edges, and vertices. And we're going to walk through them. I'm going to do the cube first and show you how the cube works, because the cube is the better example for showing faces, edges, and vertices. So we're going to go and skip the sphere and go to the second option. We'll come back to the sphere though. So first we have to look at the faces. Now the faces, the best way to know about faces is that if you can see the shape. So here I see a square, another square, another square, more squares, and more squares. Well, how many squares do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So because I see 6 squares, that means I have 6 faces. Now we're going to look at the edges. Now the edges are each line that is a part of the cube. So kind of similar to the side, but not quite. We're just more three-dimensional. So here I'm kind of drawing and counting the amount of edges that I have. And just marking them off to help me see that I know I counted them all. Which we have 12 edges on this cube. So we have 6 faces and 12 edges. Now on to vertices. Vertices are the corners on the shape. Okay? So I like to circle each corner so I can clearly see how many corners I have. Which, you count it all together, we have 8. So now let's keep going and look at the rest of these 3D shapes and their faces, edges, and vertices. So on a sphere, we can see a circle, but it's not a face like on the cube. The sphere we can turn and turn and turn, and it still just looks like a circle. There's no edges to it, and there's no points to it. So the sphere, unfortunately, is the most boring and doesn't have any sort of face, edges, or vertices. Now we're going to look at the rectangular prism. So let's look at the faces. I see a square, I see a rectangle, another rectangle, a square, a rectangle, and another rectangle. So I see multiple faces, and if we count it up, we have 6 total faces. Let's count the edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 edges to our rectangular prism. And now we're going to count the vertices, which are the points of the shape, which is also 8. Notice how the cube and the rectangular prism both have the same amount of faces, edges, and vertices. Now let's go ahead and look at the cylinder. Now the cylinder, you have to imagine it as like a can of soup. You have the top and the bottom, which those would be the 2 faces because we see 2 circles. However, the cylinder part of it, the oblong shape, that's not a part of the face because it goes all the way around. So imagine you're looking at that can of soup. Does that can of soup have an edge like a cube? Nope. Does it have points like the cube? Nope. So the cylinder only has 2 faces and nothing else. So let's look at the cone. The cone has a circle base. Now the cone goes all the way around too, just like how the cylinder does. So we only have 1 face for the cone. We have 0 edges because think of an ice cream cone. There is no straight edge like a cube. And then we have 1 vertice. We have 1 point on our cone. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the pyramid. Now the pyramid has a few faces. I see a square, a triangle, another triangle, 1 more triangle, and another triangle in the back here. So we have 5 total faces. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 edges. And then we have 1 vertice. So very similar to the cone, we only have 1 vertice at the top. So I hope that this video was a little helpful for you guys. I'm trying to use this format to help you see it a little bit better. I hope that it is helping you guys, and if you guys have any questions, you know where to find me.